go.
The makeup you're using can look dry and cakey and can make your skin look rough. But with Breeze, you can go from this to this. The secret is how our premium foundations blend onto the skin with an ultra-fine mist using the power of air. Very little foundation is needed, up to 10 times less makeup compared to what you're using. But you're also getting 3 times more coverage at the same time. That's maximum coverage using less makeup. Traditional makeup can make you look older, while Breeze is specially designed for maturing skin.
I feel like I'm telling a best-kept secret.
It is literally the same size as a smartphone.
It is. Look at that.
Call or scan now to go to getbreeze.com. You get our all-in-one airbrush foundation. It's your anti-aging, moisturizing primer, concealer, and foundation in one simple step. And with so many shades, we give you a color match guarantee. So you're guaranteed the perfect shade that's just right for you. When you call or scan now to go to getbreeze.com, use this special promo code and get our new Breeze cordless 2-in-1 airbrush to try at home for only $19.95. And you'll even get free shipping. We're so confident you're going to love our all-new Breeze 2-in-1 airbrush system. We give you a full 30-day money-back guarantee. Now, you can look dramatically younger with Breeze. And this exclusive offer is only available here, so don't wait.
To order your cordless handheld Breeze, call 800-425-6437 or scan now to go to getbreeze.com. Order now.
Ditch the disposables and go sustainable with super leak-proof underwear, the most absorbent period undies ever. They're comfortable, reusable, and better for the environment. Stop all that period waste and go leak-proof at Knix.com.
If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to tell you what your case is potentially worth. Hello, I'm Gina, along with spokesperson Rob. Rob, tell the folks at home who should be calling right now.
Well, just like you said, Gina, anyone who's been injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, give us a call right now, and we're going to let you know what your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Rob. So what kind of calls have we been seeing today?
Well, Gina, we're getting calls from all types of accidents today. Work accidents, slip and falls, truck accidents, and most commonly, car accidents. So if you were injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, take that first step, pick up that phone and give us a call. We're going to answer your questions, and we'll let you know how much money you can get for your accident.
Thanks, Rob. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Go ahead, don't hesitate, take that first step and call now.
I've always been prone to hair thinning.
I was under a lot of stress.
I was getting older.
I started taking Neutrafol.
Neutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement.
I am back to me.
Start your hair growth journey at Neutrafol.com.
Letting go of my diamond ring was really hard, but selling it for the best price was simple with Worthy.com. They evaluate your jewelry to help you understand what it's actually worth. Then they auction it to their network of professional buyers. Get more for your jewelry with Worthy.com.
In Pasco County, Florida, day 10 of the popcorn movie murder trial. All the evidence is in and the arguments have been made, and now it's time for the jury to decide if Curtis Reeves murdered Chad Olson in the movie theater or killed him in self-defense.
He's a fragile egg that at any moment can break and be killed by either popcorn or even a fist. We got to address it.
In Redwood City, California, convicted wife and unborn baby killer Scott Peterson back in a courtroom trying yet once again to get a new trial. Is Juror 7, known as Strawberry Shortcake, the key to Peterson getting a second chance? We have the latest from today's hearing.
She feared for the life of her unborn child.
In Taylor Mill, Kentucky, a young woman is shot and killed during an early morning home invasion. Now, the suspected killer has been identified by police. Tonight, the latest in the investigation and the manhunt. On the docket tonight in White Lake, Michigan, professional poker player Susie Zhao was sexually assaulted and burned alive. And now prosecutors are getting ready to try the man they believe is responsible. We have a preview.
It is a felony that is punishable upon conviction by up to life imprisonment. Do you understand that charge?
Yes. Plus, tonight's 13th juror question. What do you believe is justice in the popcorn movie murder trial? Buckle your seatbelts. This hour of closing arguments starts right now. I'm Vinnie Politan. Great to have you with us tonight here on Closing Arguments. And this is a rare night, a late night jury deliberation. We are on a verdict watch, waiting for the jury to come back down in Pasco, Florida, the popcorn movie murder trial. Let's take a look at the courthouse. It's dark, it's quiet, but at any moment, folks, it could happen. That's the way verdicts happen. Any moment the jury can come back, knock on the door, let the bailiff know, the judge knows, they bring everyone in, and we find out what the jury has decided. Now, they've been out a couple hours, so you're thinking, no way are they coming back tonight. Let me remind you about a couple things, okay? Number one, it is Friday. There's a thing, and it's real, the Friday factor. Okay, sometimes it speeds jurors up a little bit. It's Friday, don't want to come back Saturday or Monday of next week, so let's get it done tonight. Let's work hard tonight. Second factor, the judge is letting this jury go. Okay, they're letting it go. Look at the time. I mean, it's 8 o'clock here in the east, 8 o'clock down in Pasco County, and the jury is still working. Number three, this jury has just 6 members, okay? 6. 12 people don't have to agree. It's 6. Does that mean it takes half as much time? Probably not. But it's a lot easier and should be a little bit quicker for 6 people to come to some consensus as to what happened inside that movie theater. So all of that is at play tonight. So we are on high alert. It could happen, as I said, any moment. What happened today, closing arguments. Back and forth, this jury listening to a lot of arguments from these attorneys. Let's take a listen.
Man killed over popcorn toss. Or you're standing in a checkout line in the grocery store and you look at that, or you're surfing on the internet and you see that and you click it and you think, well, that's sensationalized. No one could ever think that would take place. There's no way that a man was killed over a popcorn toss. And it's not just rhetoric in this case. It's not something that we talk about and we say as if to make a point, to make it flashy. Because in this case, we know that's what happened. You don't have to look between the lines. You don't have to say, well, maybe, possibly that's what it was over. We know that's exactly what it was over. As flashy and as sensationalized as that sounds, that's what happened. And we know that. How is it that we know that? Because people, 2 to 3 people in the theater heard this defendant say that right after he shot and killed Chad Olson. Every single thing that he said was untrue. Every single thing. And then he came into court and took that stand and looked you in the eye and told you a completely different story from the unbelievable one in the cruiser. Why is that? Because he knows what really happened on January 13th of 2014. Just like the witnesses that came in and told you. Just like the video tells you. He shot and killed a man over a popcorn toss. How in the world was it that he's able to be hit with a phone and not be injured? How in the world is he hit with a phone and his wife, who's sitting right next to him, doesn't see it happen? How in the world does not a single person in the theater see that happen? How in the world is it not captured on video? How in the world does he get hit with an object so hard that he continues to go forward and not react with his hands? That's because he's trained in karate. That's what his testimony was. Not even making that up. No human in the world gets hit with a phone that hard and doesn't yell, ow, oh my God, I can't believe this, and go for their head. It never happened. None of it happened. What happened was he killed Chad Olson for no reason other than the fact he was mad.
The prosecutor calls it with Mr. Reeves having that light shining on his face and leaning forward and saying, sir, could you please turn off your phone because the announcement went off. He calls that instigation. As people, can we not talk to each other and say, sir, can you turn off that phone, please? Forensically, Mr. Olson's hand is in front of his thorax during bloodshed. Miss Olson's hand is between Mr. Olson's hand and the chest. What was she trying to prevent? We know that Mr. Olson wasn't doing this at the time of bloodshed. We know Mr. Olson wasn't doing this at the time of bloodshed. But a fist is consistent with the evidence. To really feel from seat number 9A what this gentleman was seeing was this. Matt, go through the progression, please. Ladies and gentlemen, this all happened within seconds. The actual shot, 0.72 seconds. Less than a second. But Mr. Reeves did not fire his weapon in response to the popcorn.
Closing arguments, it's like they're telling two completely different stories because the facts are in dispute. Despite the fact that the video is there and there are eyewitnesses, a ton of them, the facts of exactly what happened are actually in dispute in this case. And you wouldn't expect that. It's like, well, what do the facts mean? No, it's like, did he punch him? Did he not punch him? Did he throw the cell phone? Did he not throw the cell phone? There's a lot that this jury has to figure out factually and then determine what it means. Does it mean self-defense? Does it mean guilty of the top count, guilty of a lesser count? Let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Julie Janae, joining us live from Pasco County, Florida tonight. All right, just give us an update here on the latest with this jury. I know they've been deliberating almost 2.5 hours, but how long have they been there today? And what do we expect? How late can they stay?
Vinny, it's been a long day for this jury today, not just because of how long they already were in the courthouse, but it was a pretty lengthy day that they had to go before they even got their lunch break, and they're allowed to go as long as they want tonight. We've been hearing the word midnight thrown around as late as they possibly could go, but really the judge has not given them a time limit. So they are inside. It's dark here outside of the courthouse. All the other businesses and buildings that are around, it's pretty quiet because everything else is shut down. It's Friday night. Many have left this area of downtown, but they are inside working away. About an hour and a half ago, they got their pizza dinner, and we haven't heard anything from them. No notes, no comments, no questions about whether they can go home or need to go home or anything of that sort. They've been told that they can alert the judge when they have a question. The courtroom is locked, but it appears that as far as the public is concerned, but it appears the defendant is inside of that courtroom waiting. Outside, we know his supporters have taken up one part of the courthouse around the snack machines, and then the supporters of the victim's family, Nicole Olson, and those who are there with her in another part of the courthouse. Everyone just waiting to see what this jury is going to do and if it's going to happen tonight.
Okay, let's get to the closing arguments today. They were long, they were detailed. What takeaways did you have from what happened inside that courtroom today?
Starting with the prosecution, Scott Rosenwasser really brought to these jurors rather quickly compared to the defense. He laid out the reasons why he says that this was an intentional act and that Curtis Reeves was doing this because he was mad, not because he was in fear of his life. And he urged these jurors not to pay attention to the shiny objects. He called those the distractions that the defense has put before them during their case. He was very passionate. He kept them engaged. He got in and got out. And then this defense took over. Richard Escobar, also a very good attorney when it comes to drawing in this jury, having them to pay attention to the words he was saying. He was really fiery in the beginning. Then he brought his volume down and really talked to them in this calm, soothing voice for most of his closing arguments. But he then went extremely long. He got to the nearly 3-hour mark, and he went over the lunch break. So lunch was normally at noon, and we went until almost 2 o'clock without these jurors getting that chance to rest. So I think that may have impacted their ability to pay attention negatively. But there was a moment inside of the courtroom where he made a comment, an objectionable comment during those closing arguments, and one that drew a reaction from the widow of the victim.
Why would Mrs. Polson have to hold her own husband back? Because she knows his violent tendencies?
Your Honor, that is completely improper and evidence that is not before this court.
That word, violent tendencies, sparking an objection from the state. There was an immediate sidebar, and you could see not only Nicole Olson, but the family members around her in disbelief that he would say that she knew he had violent tendencies. The state, of course, legally making the argument that there was no evidence during this trial that he had any history of violence. So that's a statement that should not have come in. This judge then instructed the jury to disregard that comment, and then we went on for about another hour of closing arguments from the defense.
What a moment. What a moment. Amazing. The other interesting wordage there, or verbiage, was stay away from the shiny objects. One of those shiny objects was supposed to be the cell phone, right?
Right, exactly. The cell phone that may or may not have been thrown, the cell phone that we may or may not have seen, and that white dot that is in the video. This jury had to see that over and over again today. Both of these sides showing them that image over and over, and the prosecution emphasizing that it's a shoe, the defense saying it's a cell phone being thrown, or it's something that has been thrown, that there was an initial attack, even pointing out that there was only 0.72 seconds between the time of the popcorn and the shot, and highlighting that, Vinny, to say that there's no way that this shot was over the popcorn because it was just not enough reaction time, that it would have been a reaction to something that happened earlier. I thought that was interesting that they pull out that timing, because the prosecution says that timing shows that he didn't take the time to assess what was happening.
That's an interesting argument. I don't know how that necessarily goes, but all right, Julie Janae is at the courthouse. She'll be there waiting, and she will let us know when and if anything happens tonight. Julia, thanks so much. We'll check in back with you in just a little bit. Let's bring in our think tank tonight. On this Friday in New York City, former senior homicide prosecutor Bernardo Villalona. In Cleveland, Ohio, criminal defense attorney Ian Friedman. And in San Diego, California, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Brian Watkins. And of course, you can always contact him at brianwatkinslaw.com. Great to see everyone tonight. Bernardo, put us in the shoes of the prosecutor right now. 2 hours, 25 minutes into a case that has taken 8 years to get to trial, and you've got the victim's widow who has been there every moment along the way.
Well, this is the nerve-wracking time, because now everything is out of your control. You've done everything that you could do. At this point, it's all up to those that six-member jury to make a determination in this case. And it's so much pressure, especially when you have the family members of the deceased in the courtroom also waiting for that verdict. And when they've waited so many years to get justice in a case, is an additional piece of burden that's on you, and you are nervous, and it's completely out of your control.
Ian Friedman, how about on the other side? The defense, they've got the rest of Curtis Reeves' lives in their hands. They fought hard throughout this entire almost decade of defense. What is this moment like after all that time, right? It took 8 years to get here, and now you no longer can do anything.
No, they've been in control of the defense they were going to present. Now there's no control, and every tick of that clock is really, really long. This is a hard time for the defense and prosecution, everyone, the families, everyone. I mean, just imagine watching that clock go around, and it seems eternal. So there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of concern, there's discussion with the client, as to if it comes back badly, this is what will happen, and so forth. Speaking to the family of their client as to what to do if a conviction comes back is a terrible time. I've always felt waiting for the jury is just the absolute worst time.
Brian Watkins, what do you do when you're waiting for your jury?
It's tough. It's such a nerve-wracking thing going to trial and waiting for a verdict. I always wonder why when you sit down and they say a verdict has been rendered, they do a lot of preamble before they tell the verdict, just like come out and say guilty or not guilty, but they won't do it. They read the case number again. Why do we need to know the case number? We know what case number is. We need the names of the people of the state of California. Yeah, we know it's California. We know who the defendant is. Why say his name? Why say his case numbers? They do this whole introduction until they get to those final words, guilty or not guilty. And it's very nerve-wracking. And that's why most cases like to settle out of court. Most cases, do it in plea bargains because, going to trial is very risky and very nerve-wracking.
And I know why you three hate it, because you like to control it. You like to control everything. And this is when you lose control. You can't object. You can't make an argument. You can't call a witness. You can't open up your law books and no. You just have to sit and wait. Bernarda, what's your take here on this case? This case took about 2 weeks. This is the first day of deliberations. It's only 6 jurors. This is, everyone gives me a different answer on this one, but I'm curious. Quick versus long verdict here. If this is a quick verdict, if this comes back sometime tonight, that's a quick verdict. Who's got the advantage? What does that mean?
Ooh, if it's a quick verdict, having watched this entire trial, I would think that it's an acquittal because, look, you heard from both sides. The defendant testified, and I'll be honest with you, Vinny, when the defendant was testifying, I completely expected a different person. I expected someone who was aggressive, kind of similar like the defense attorney. But what I saw was a man who was calm, a man who's elderly, a man who took his time when he was talking and he wasn't easily rattled. So in terms of is no issue as to the law because they have the jury charges with them behind there. So all they have to really realize is, did the prosecution prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt? Was the defendant justified? If they can't merge the facts and try to figure out what actually happened, that goes into the favor of the defense because that to them will be a reasonable doubt.
And do you think the jury gets beyond the popcorn? I mean, that's what made this case the headline that it was, and that's where the prosecutor went in his closing argument. And it's there, it's in the video. You see, it's popcorn, and what is it, 0.72 seconds later, he's shooting and killing him.
That's always been the million-dollar question, and I think the defense, did as good a job as they could of putting the jury kind of in the seat of their client to show that he didn't know what was coming their way. I mean, it clearly the popcorn now, we're all looking at it all these years later, and it does make for, great sound and closing from the safe. But at the moment, what did he know and what was behind it, and would it have stopped had he not taken action? That is the question that the jury is talking about right now. So, we'll see. That's the thing. All of us who are talking right now know that it's tough to guess what a jury's going to do, and that's why everyone in there has just got fingers crossed and wondering what's going on behind the door of the jury.
Yeah, I think the jury's got to figure out angry or scared. I mean, to me, if you break it down to its most basic component, was he angry or was he scared? And if he was just angry, I don't think he has a chance. But if he's scared, there's a way for this jury to figure it out. Anyhow, with us the whole hour, Bernarda Villalona, Ian Friedman, Brian Watkins. We're on a verdict watch tonight, folks. 2.5 hours, still no verdict. When we come back, a case that had a verdict almost 2 decades ago, but they're back in court. Scott Peterson trying again to get a new trial. And today, testifying in court was juror number 7. a.k.a. Strawberry Shortcake. I'll tell you what happened next. It's a tragedy that captivated the country.
Police officers shot and killed Breonna Taylor in a botched raid on her home.
Somebody shot my girlfriend.
Only one of them, Brett Hankinson, is facing charges.
The charges have nothing to do with the shooting death of Breonna Taylor.
The indictment had to do with bullets that went into an adjacent home.
Please continue to say her name.
The Breonna Taylor botched raid trial. Coverage continues Monday morning at 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
Wear by Erin Andrews, my sportswear collection for all women, is now officially licensed with more leagues. Women can support their teams in fashion-forward apparel everywhere, anywhere. Find it at Fanatics.com. Officially licensed everything.
This is an important message for everyone on Medicare. Today, we are talking about Medicare Part C, commonly called Medicare Advantage. If you don't have a Medicare Part C plan, call now because there may be plans with additional benefits available that are simply not covered under Medicare Parts A and B. That's right, there are people on Medicare but don't have a Medicare Part C plan, which covers everything in Part A and Part B, plus extra benefits in Medicare Part C. Here's the good news. If you're on Medicare, you can call even if you called last year. We will check to see if there is a Part C plan available in your area with additional benefits. If you're losing coverage, moving, or new to Medicare, call to speak with a licensed insurance agent during the special enrollment period. You don't get Medicare Part C benefits automatically, so call now for your free 2022 no-obligation Medicare benefits review. Just call 800-279-5106. 800-279-5106. This is an important message for everyone on Medicare. Today, we are talking about Medicare Part C, commonly called Medicare Advantage. If you don't have a Medicare Part C plan, call now because there may be plans with additional benefits available that are simply not covered under Medicare Parts A and B. That's right, there are people on Medicare but don't have a Medicare Part C plan, which covers everything in Part A and Part B, plus extra benefits in Medicare Part C. Here's the good news. If you're on Medicare, you can call even if you called last year. We will check to see if there is a Part C plan available in your area with additional benefits. If you're losing coverage, moving, or new to Medicare, call to speak with a licensed insurance agent during the special enrollment period. You don't get Medicare Part C benefits automatically, so call now for your free 2022 no-obligation Medicare benefits review. Just call 800-279-5106. 800-279-5106.
At Denny's, we're open for anything. Like our new ooey gooey, seriously sweet chocolate chip cookie dough pancakes. Social stars influenced.
This dough is money.
And perfect for the fam. Get that cookie dough pancakes only at Denny's.
Man, Drivetime makes it easy to buy a car. I got approved, found tons of cars, and got my personalized financing right on my phone. It's like I'm already at the dealership.
Hey, anywhere you are with the phone, you pretty much are in a Drivetime dealership.
Hey.
Get your down payment, monthly payment, and find the car you need all on your phone.
Do you get annoying spam calls?
5 to 10 spam calls a day.
20. Download Robokiller.
Robokiller screens these calls for me and blocks the ones that need to be blocked.
And now how many?
I'm getting 0 spam calls because of Robokiller.
Robokiller. Live life spam call free.
I feel like everyone is leaning on me to do everything, Mom.
Maybe it's time you talk with someone.
Thanks for seeing me.
I'm glad you scheduled some time.
Teledoc, the right care when you need it most.
What if we told you about shoes that are as stylish as they are comfortable, that you can wear all day, every day? Meet Birdies, designer flats that feel like slippers and offer the support of sneakers. Thanks to our exclusive 7-layer comfort technology.
The California Supreme Court has ordered that a lower court must decide if Scott Peterson deserves a new trial because a juror withheld information about her past. Rochelle Neese served on the 2004 jury that convicted Peterson of killing his wife, Lacey, and unborn son, Connor. What Neese failed to tell the court during jury selection was that when she was pregnant in the year 2000, she asked for a restraining order against her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, writing in the order application she, quote, fears for her unborn child. In Peterson's habeas appeal, he argued Miss Neese gave false answers to get on the jury because this case, like Miss Neese's past case, involved harm to an unborn child. The state Supreme Court, with its ruling, seems to agree that the issue needs to be reviewed. The state, on the other hand, says the argument, quote, borders on the ridiculous. Scott Peterson's sister-in-law, Janie, has been fighting for Peterson's release since his conviction.
She feared for the life of her unborn child. So, you know, when you're looking to be seated as a juror in a trial where a pregnant woman was murdered, that's relevant information that needs to be presented to the court prior to being seated on that jury.
In 2017, the juror, Rochelle Neese, did an interview with the Modesto Bee, denying she lied to get on the jury.
Scott's appeal lawyers are making up this story. I did not lie to get on this trial to fry Scott. I did not. That was not my intention.
This hearing is happening out in California. Scott Peterson, take a look. We've got sketches of him. No cameras inside the courtroom, but we've got sketches. Scott Peterson inside the courtroom with his attorneys. This is an actual hearing. Witnesses testifying, including juror number 7. Now, let me break it down for you one more time with juror number 7, Rochelle Neese, a.k.a. Strawberry Shortcake. That's how she was known during the trial by those of us that were covering it. On the jury questionnaire, it was asked, have you or a member of your family ever been the victim of a crime? And she answered that no, and that's really a big issue here because she admitted later to calling police seeking a restraining order against a woman she claimed threatened her while she was pregnant, but she did not feel like a victim. So she was on the stand today being questioned by Pat Harris, attorney representing Scott Peterson. Take a look at a little bit of the back and forth. The attorney Harris asked her, do you believe you have a different definition of victim than the law? Her reply, yes. The attorney for Scott Peterson, and you believe that when you filled out the questionnaire? Juror 7, Rochelle Neese, sure. So is this the groundwork, the foundation for a brand new trial? Let's bring back in our think tank, Bernardo Villalona, Ian Friedman, Brian Watkins with us. Ian, your thoughts, because it's all about juror 7. Did she lie because she wanted to be on this jury and she wanted to get Scott Peterson for killing little unborn baby Connor?
It certainly is suspicious. I mean, the questions are what they are, the responses are what they are, and then afterward, with all the media attention she sought, writing a book, being compensated for it, I mean, there's a lot there. So this does belong back in the courtroom being questioned. Regardless of the allegations and the conviction, the process has to be pristine. And jury service is one of the greatest civic duties that we as citizens can have. And part and parcel to that is making sure that everything those jurors do is honest and gives everyone in that room a fair shot. So this has to be questioned, and what's going to happen is they're going to look into whether or not, just her intention, but what effect she had on that jury. And so they're going to have a lot of other witnesses come in there and talk. And one of the things that, at the end of the day, even if she's proven to have lied and her motivation to get on there is, was it harmful? Was it harmless error? Me personally, as defense counsel, I've always been bothered by that harmless error standard. I think that if someone's proven to have lied, automatically someone should get a second chance because, if who's to say what's really harmful and harmless error? So it's interesting, needs to be here, and I hope that other jurors who are looking to get on high-profile cases watch this because this should never, ever be tolerated, and if she's proven to have lied, the court really needs to put some sanctions into play.
Brian Watkins, here we go. Another back and forth with Scott Peterson's attorney who says, so much stress about your unborn child. You had fears you'd have the baby early. And Rochelle Neese, yes, it was stressful. They're really honing in on the fact that she was carrying a child and Lacey Peterson, as we know, 9 months pregnant on Christmas Eve when Scott Peterson murdered her.
You know, it's funny. It's like you can't say everyone in most situations, but I think in this situation, I can fair in saying every woman who's pregnant fears for their unborn child. Every woman always has it, whether they need a restraining order against someone or not. I think that's a common thing. And you understand something, a restraining order is not criminal, it's civil. So technically she is not the victim of a crime. No one was prosecuted for anything. And so did she really lie? Technically, no. I mean, did she fear for her unborn child? Of course, every woman does. Was she the victim of a crime? No. Filing a civil restraining order does not make you a victim of a crime. So if she didn't lie, and then the question is these questions that we're even asking her, how relevant are they to the ultimate decision of whether or not Scott Peterson was guilty of murder? I mean, I don't think that she has any different opinion about protecting unborn children than anyone in the world, you know, let alone a woman who's, you know, who can be pregnant. So it's really irrelevant. It's a red herring, just like her hair. And I don't think it's really going to go anywhere. I think it does border on ridiculousness.
Bernarda, your thoughts, you know, all these years later, and now she got immunity to testify, by the way. Her attorney says she's not going to testify without immunity, so she has that immunity to testify inside the courtroom. Your thoughts about what we're going through here? It looks like it's going to be about 5 days of witnesses.
Wow. Vinny, I have to say, from all the years of trying cases, and especially when I was a prosecutor, so in New York, the jury selection is different than in Pennsylvania. In New York, you're actually allowed to voir dire. You're actually allowed to ask questions of the jurors. So what I will be looking for if I were the judge is to see what questions were actually asked of her, and if there were any follow-up questions regarding any of her answers, to try to see what was her intent. Because technically, like Brian said, if she got a restraining order and it was a civil restraining order, it wasn't through the criminal courts, so you're not considered a victim. Aside from that, even if you get a civil restraining order, there still has to be a hearing to determine whether that restraining order should remain in place or whether it should be vacated. So in terms of what's going to happen here, I doubt that this will be grounds to reverse the conviction. I mean, his death penalty sentence was already reversed. How lucky is Scott Peterson? But no, I think we'll go through the hearing and the judge will ultimately decide that this decision, this juror, her responses weren't prejudicial and didn't play a role into the deliberations of the jury.
Yeah, it's amazing because during the trial, this was the one juror, partially because of the red hair, that everyone was talking about. But it was different. Everyone thought, oh, she's young, she's attractive, she's probably gonna like Scott Peterson because he's so dreamy. And it turns out that she is not on Scott Peterson's side whatsoever and wasn't throughout this trial. Okay, our think tank staying with us, Bernarda Villalona, Ian Freeman, Brian Watkins, still ahead. On the docket tonight in White Lake, Michigan, professional poker player Susie Zhao was sexually assaulted and burned alive. And now prosecutors are getting ready to try the man they believe is responsible. We have a preview.
It is a felony that is punishable upon conviction by up to life imprisonment. Do you understand that charge?
Yes. Plus, tonight's 13th juror question. What do you believe is justice in the popcorn movie murder trial?
You're over 50. Imagine you could turn back the clock on your stiff, achy joints 10, even 20 years. Imagine you can do this without products that just temporarily hide the symptoms and may have side effects. Imagine no more. Introducing Instaflex Advanced. Get a complimentary sample just by texting color to 321-321. Instaflex Advanced is different because it targets the root cause of joint soreness and stiffness. It doesn't just cover up the symptoms. Instead, it bathes your joints in its unique combination of 5 key natural ingredients found in no other product and backed by 5 clinical studies. Instaflex Advanced is so powerful, you could have better knees in just 1 week. Maybe that's why it's the #1 selling joint brand at GNC. But you can only get your complimentary sample by texting color to 321-321. Plus, text now and we'll include a tube of Instaflex pain cream with its exclusive oxygenated oil for fast-acting relief from the pain of arthritis, backaches, and sore muscles. Absolutely free. Text COLOR to 321-321.
I deliver mail, walking 2 to 3 miles a day, up and down hills, stairs. It was killing my knees. I found out about Instaflex on television, so I tried it, and within 5 days, my knees felt better.
I had trouble with my shoulders, elbows, and knees. Instaflex has turned back the clock a full decade for me.
Target the root cause of your joint discomfort. Get a complimentary sample just by texting color to 321321.
My knees feel better, my elbows feel better, my shoulders feel better. You can't beat that.
I got that spring right back in my step again. I would recommend this product to anyone with joint discomfort in your knees. It will change your life. It did for me.
Get a complimentary sample of Instaflex Advanced. Text color to 321321. Text now and we'll include a tube of Instaflex pain cream absolutely free. Text COLOR to 321321.
Smile Direct Club. You pop them in, you go to bed, and they do all the work.
Straighten your teeth while you sleep with Smile Direct Club nighttime aligners.
You just put them in when you go to bed. You don't have to wear them all day. They don't interfere with your daily lifestyle at all.
You can have your teeth straightened while you sleep. Who doesn't have time to wear something while they're sleeping?
I'm able to wear them just at night, and it's perfect for me.
Choose easy. Choose Smile.
Thanks, Smile Direct Club.
Get started for free at SmileDirectClub.com.
New seasons, new gear. Show the world what it means to be a fan. 100% authentic fan gear. Fanatics, officially licensed everything.
If you're like me, you're sick of underwires. Well, Knix makes wireless bras that you will love. They're supportive, they're comfortable, and they fit up to an H cup. Try one for 30 days. If you don't love it, we'll give you your money back. Go wireless at Knix.com.
Your safety is our priority. That's why experts like Kyle install Leaffilter gutter protection even on the coldest days.
Well, warm gloves and strong coffee help too.
Snow and ice buildup on unprotected gutters can do real damage.
And the longer you go without Leaffilter, the worse the damage gets.
Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Hall. We'll be done in no time. Leaffilter can be installed on your existing gutters. The three-piece system filters out leaves and debris, but allows snow melt and water to flow freely.
And you'll never worry about your gutters again.
Which is safer for everyone. So, it may be winter, but it's the perfect time to get Leaffilter.
We're staying warm and we're ready to help.
Call 833-LEAFFILTER or go to getleaffilter.com for your free estimate. Plus, save 15% and get an additional $100 off during our winter special.
On the docket tonight, the brutal murder of professional poker player Susie Zhao. Jim Kirstner from our great affiliate WXYZ in Detroit, Michigan, has her story.
Court records spell out gruesome details to authorize the charge of first-degree murder that Zhao was bound with zip ties, had been sexually assaulted, and attacked with an object. The details too graphic for TV. She was found on July 13th at 8 a.m. in a secluded Pontiac Lake recreation area. She was lit on fire until she died. The man charged is 60-year-old Jeffrey Morris, a convicted sex offender, but with no recent sex crimes. After his arrest, he cooperated at first, admitting he picked up Susie on Watkins Lake Road and checked into the Sherwood Motel with Susie at around 9:26 p.m. They drove to a liquor store to purchase alcohol and went back to the motel. Morris told police Susie left the motel at midnight, taking all of her belongings, including her cell phones, with her. But cell phone records show otherwise. Surveillance videos from nearby the motel and cell phone records show that at 5 a.m., Morris left in his car, and the cell phones were tracked to the location of the secluded park, including Susie's. Days later, the FBI located Morris and his car in Ypsilanti. They would find a treasure trove of physical evidence in the trunk, footwear impressions, several hairs and fibers with possible blood. They also found inside duffel bags Morris's ID, a bed sheet with apparent blood spots, and a wooden baseball bat with a big blood stain. All are being tested at the Oakland County Crime Lab. There was early speculation this murder might be connected with Susie Q, as she was known on the circuit, playing as a poker pro, living in Las Vegas and Los Angeles.
There is a lot of physical evidence in this case and forensic evidence, and it does connect to the defendant, may connect to some unknown people or other people who were also at that motel. Let's bring back in the think tank, Bernardo Villalona, Ian Freeman, Brian Watkins. Brian, let me ask you this. If prosecutors can bring in the forensic evidence, but they don't know the story, they don't know why on earth this young woman is with this 60-year-old sex offender, how their lives or paths crossed, or why she was at that motel. If they don't know that story, can they still convict this man just based upon the evidence, the forensics, if they can tie him through the cell phone and the fibers that they have versus telling this jury a story?
Absolutely. You know, the prosecution does not have to prove motive, and they don't have to answer the whys she was with him or the whys. All they have to answer is the whodunits, and that's basically what the evidence shows. And so the problem for the defense is going to be all that physical evidence. You know, how do you explain that? You know, and the bottom line is he would have to take the stand to explain it away some way, shape, or form. And whether or not he has the ability to do that, we don't know. But clearly he was somewhat involved in some way, shape, or form. And if there's nobody else sitting at that defendant's table, I think a jury is going to say everything connects to you. Of all the people in the world, someone did this. And of all the people in the world, it was most likely you. I think he goes down for it.
Bernardo, what if the story you have to tell this jury, and you do figure out what she was doing there, and she was doing something, and I have no idea. I mean, this is the part that has not necessarily been revealed yet. There have been some hints about it from investigators early on, but what if you learn that there was some sort of secret life that she was leading, that she was doing something that was maybe illegal or very dangerous and something that you wouldn't want to admit to in public? Does that harm or taint the victim to an extent that the jury might have a question about the evidence? That's what I'm wondering, because that's the part of this case that I don't know yet and that I'm concerned about.
So in a case like this, and of course you're going to get a lot of ideas when you look at how beautiful the victim is and the defendant, not so much. So you try to figure out what was actually going on here. There must have been something more to this, but you emphasize as a prosecutor, it doesn't matter what was going on or the type of person this victim was. What matters is that the defendant is charged with killing this person, a human being, because it doesn't matter whether you were engaged in illegality. You are not allowed to kill someone if you're not talking about justification or something else along those lines. So you just have to focus and bring that jury back to, look, no matter who you are entitled to the protection of the law.
Ian Freeman, do you think the defense here is going to focus on the victim, or are they going to try to bring some other person who may have been at that motel, who may have some connection, known or unknown, and kind of draw the attention to that person and attack that person?
Yeah, so I think a lot's going to be revealed as this case, or potentially could be revealed as this case moves forward. If the defense is to have any chance of successfully representing their client, there has to be someone else or something else. They cannot, under any circumstance, question what she was doing with them or point the finger at the victim in this case. There's nothing, there is no circumstance, there is no anything that she could have done that should have ended up the way that it did, with her being sexually assaulted, bound, and burned alive. So if a defense lawyer points the finger at her and says, yeah, but look at what she was doing, that defense lawyer should probably be dragged off out the side door to the jail with their client at the end of that case.
All right, folks, we've got a trial date. It's coming up this fall, September 26th. September 26th of this year, Michigan versus Jeffrey Morris, the murder of Susie Zhao, also known as Susie Q, a former professional poker player. All right, folks, we are on a verdict watch. Let's take a look what's happening in Pasco County. at the courthouse. It's dark, it's quiet, but that could change any moment when that jury comes back. They've been out almost 3 hours now. When we return, 13th juror question tonight. What is justice in this case? Your answer when we return.
Have you heard the news?
What is the word on the street?
Court TV Mystery has a new identity.
What do I call you?
Ion Mystery.
I like your thinking.
With a fully loaded lineup.
Looking forward to it.
Guaranteed to keep you in suspense.
Sounds like a hit to me.
It's a homicide. I need CSI.
All the crimes, all the clues, and all the cases you love.
Let the games begin.
All in one place. This is what we live for. Court TV Mystery is now Ion Mystery.
What is the best credit card?
You know Credit Karma shows you cards based on your credit profile, right? And you can see your approval logs before you apply. We have to move again, don't we?
Find and apply for your next credit card easily through Credit Karma.
I've always been prone to hair thinning.
I was under a lot of stress. I was getting older.
I started taking Neutrafol.
Neutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement.
I am back to me.
Start your hair growth journey at Nutrafol.com.
If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to tell you what your case is potentially worth. Hello, I'm Gina, along with spokesperson Rob. Rob, tell the folks at home who should be calling right now.
Well, just like you said, Gina, anyone who's been injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, give us a call right now, and we're going to let you know what your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Rob. So what kind of calls have we been seeing today?
Well, Gina, we're getting calls from all types of accidents today. Work accidents, slip and falls, truck accidents, and most commonly, car accidents. So if you were injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, take that first step, pick up that phone and give us a call. We're going to answer your questions, and we'll let you know how much money you can get for your accident.
Thanks, Rob. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Go ahead, don't hesitate, take that first step and call now.
Letting go of my diamond ring was really hard, but selling it for the best price was simple with Worthy.com. They evaluate your jewelry to help you understand what it's actually worth. Then they auction it to their network of professional buyers. Get more for your jewelry with Worthy.com.
This is an important message for everyone on Medicare. Today, we are talking about Medicare Part C, commonly called Medicare Advantage. If you don't have a Medicare Part C plan, call now because there may be plans with additional benefits available that are simply not covered under Medicare Parts A and B. That's right, there are people on Medicare but don't have a Medicare Part C plan, which covers everything in Part A and Part B, plus extra benefits in Medicare Part C. Here's the good news. If you're on Medicare, you can call even if you called last year. We will check to see if there is a Part C plan available in your area with additional benefits. If you're losing coverage, moving, or new to Medicare, call to speak with a licensed insurance agent during the special enrollment period. You don't get Medicare Part C benefits automatically, so call now for your free 2022 no-obligation Medicare benefits review. Just call 800-951-8248. 800-951-8248.
Smile Direct Club. You pop them in, you go to bed, and they do all the work.
Straighten your teeth while you sleep with Smile Direct Club nighttime aligners.
They don't interfere with your daily lifestyle at all.
Choose easy. Choose Smile. Get started for free at SmileDirectClub.com.
At Drivetime, we approve 99% of people who apply, and you can see your real down payment in like 30 seconds.
And your real monthly payment?
Yep, we get it, Tim.
Did you get it, Deb?
Yes. In basically 30 seconds, you can get approved and see your real down payment.
And your real monthly payment.
And your monthly payment. Get your real deal at Drivetime.com.
So this is what I tell all my friends. I tried a wireless bra from Knix, and I will never wear an underwire again.
Join the millions of women who have switched to a wireless bra. Find yours at Knix.com. Take 30 days to love it or your money back.
Do you really believe that this cell phone light was so incredibly bright that it was ruining his movie experience for the previews?
The danger facing Curtis Reeves need not have been actual.
Plus, he's a fragile egg that at any moment can break and be killed by either popcorn or even a fist. We got to address it.
He's not a good trigger happy retired police officer.
We're on a verdict watch. Jury deliberating the fate of Curtis Reeves. He claims self-defense. He's charged with murder. 3 hours the jury's been out. I posted on social media today asking you, what's justice in this case? We begin with our 13th juror comment of the day from Elaine. Guilty. He lied that day and lied on the stand. The witnesses for the prosecution all had similar takes on what happened. Cell phone dropped to his feet when he shot Olson. Let me ask you, Brian Watkins, when the defendant testifies, does it become all about the defendant, whether the jury believes him, doesn't believe him, likes him, or doesn't like him?
It does in a self-defense case because the defendant has to establish his self-defense defense. That's an affirmative defense. So he has to show that he had reasonable fear that he was going to suffer great bodily injury or death. And here's the problem with his case. You cannot use deadly force in fear of the unknown because I don't know what this guy is going to do, so I'm going to shoot him. You can't do that. You can't use a gun in a fist fight. All force is deadly. And so you can only use deadly force in response to inherently deadly force. I mean, you can shove a guy and he could trip back, fall, hit his head on cement and die. So all force is potentially deadly. You have to only use deadly force in response to inherently deadly force, not fear of the unknown. I don't know what this guy's going to do, so I'm going to shoot him. That's the problem with the defense's case.
Catherine tonight, not guilty. He was in law enforcement for decades and never fired his weapon. I doubt he all of a sudden became a killer when he likely could have many times before and been justified just to go trigger happy in his retirement. Ian Friedman, your thoughts about the impact that he has never fired in his entire career. He was a member of the SWAT unit and still never fired his weapon.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a fact that works well for the defense. And certainly one of the things that, just the two viewers that just gave their differing opinions, one saying guilty, one saying not guilty. It's the exact questions that are going on back now in that jury room.
Suzanne, I'd like to see him get second degree, but I think he'll be found guilty of manslaughter. He was just a grumpy old man that didn't like the fact that Chad didn't get off his phone immediately. Bernarda, your thoughts about a lesser charge here. Does this sound like a manslaughter case, or does this sound like a murder or self-defense? Do you think they can compromise or find something in the middle of that?
Exactly, and that's what a compromise will be, is that they find him guilty of the lesser offense. If they can't, and they shouldn't be doing it. This is not how it should go. You're not following your oath as a juror by compromising on a verdict. But I think in the discussions between the jurors, it's possible that they're like, well, we don't think that he should be held liable in the sense of, oh, he intended to kill him. I think he was just mad and lost control. So he shouldn't be guilty of the higher offense than he was the previous officer. It's just so many things that are going on in this case. And I think that it's highly likely that there'll be a compromise in this case.
Linda tonight, unfortunately, he's been free for the last 8 years. The trial should have been sooner. Now I think some of the jurors will consider his age and not the charges. Brian Watkins, how big of a factor is his current age?
Jurors are not supposed to consider sentencing, so they're not supposed to think about any sort of prison sentence that he would get. So any sort of prison sentence, a jury could be considering, hey, it's a life in prison sentence for him. So if they do want to go with that compromise verdict that we were just talking about, that's going to be an issue for the jurors. They're going to say, hey, any compromise verdict, it's all a life sentence to the guy. He only has X amount of years left, presumptively. So why compromise the verdict? That could go in the defendant's favor if they say, hey, any sentence is going to be too long for this guy.
All right, great job by the think tank tonight. I thought you were going to bring us a verdict in this first hour, but you didn't. But that's okay. That's okay. We've still got more of the show to go. Bernarda Villalona, Ian Friedman, Brian Watkins, thank you for being with us on this Friday night. We'll see you again really soon. When we come back, we remain on a verdict watch. Julie Janae at the courthouse with an update when we come back. Don't go anywhere, folks, because the jury's not going anywhere.
If you're over 50, imagine you could turn back the clock on your stiff, achy joints 10, even 20 years. Imagine you can do this without products that just temporarily hide the symptoms and may have side effects. Imagine no more. Introducing Instaflex Advanced. Get a complimentary sample just by texting SUNNY to 369-369. Instaflex Advanced is different because it targets the root cause of joint soreness and stiffness. It doesn't just cover up the symptoms. Instead, it bathes your joints in its unique combination of 5 key natural ingredients found in no other product and backed by 5 clinical studies. Instaflex Advanced is so powerful, you could have better knees in just 1 week. Maybe that's why it's the #1 selling joint brand at GNC. But you can only get your complimentary sample by texting SUNNY to 369-369. Plus, text now and we'll include a tube of Instaflex pain cream with its exclusive oxygenated oil for fast-acting relief from the pain of arthritis, backaches, and sore muscles. Absolutely free. Text SUNNY to 369-369.
I deliver mail, walking 2 to 3 miles a day, up and down hills, stairs. It was killing my knees. I found out about Instaflex on television, so I tried it, and within 5 days, my knees felt better.
I had trouble with my shoulders, elbows, and knees. Instaflex has turned back the clock a full decade for me.
Target the root cause of your joint discomfort. Get a complimentary sample just by texting SUNNY to 369-369.
My knees feel better, my elbows feel better, my shoulders feel better. You can't beat that.
I got that spring right back in my step again. I would recommend this product to anyone with joint discomfort in your knees. It will change your life. It did for me.
Get a complimentary sample of Instaflex Advanced. Text SUNNY to 369-369. Text now and we'll include a tube of Instaflex pain cream absolutely free. Text SUNNY to 369-369.
If you, like many people, are covered by both Medicare and your state's Medicaid, here's something important to know. Now you could get even more health benefits than you already have. It's the United Healthcare Dual Complete Plan. To find out if you or someone you care about is eligible, it's easy. Call now to talk with us. We can explain it all and answer your questions. Medicaid gives you benefits, and Medicare gives you some too. But a Dual Complete Plan can add even more benefits and features compared to original Medicare. You'll have lots of doctors and hospitals to choose from. $0 copays on all covered prescriptions, including brand names. And depending on where you live, you could enjoy other benefits too, like more dental care and rides to and from your doctor or pharmacy. Most plans even give you up to $150 a month on a prepaid card for covered over-the-counter products and groceries. And best of all, with this plan, there's no extra cost to you. Remember, if you have Medicare and Medicaid, chances are you could get a Dual Complete Plan. So call now to talk with us. Our agents are available to help. We know healthcare can be confusing. United Healthcare can straighten things out. And with over 40 years of experience, you can count on us to be there for you. With a Dual Complete Plan, you could have a wide choice of doctors to choose from. $0 copays on all covered prescriptions, a prepaid card for covered over-the-counter products and groceries, more dental coverage too, all at no extra cost. If you have both Medicare and Medicaid, you may be eligible for Dual Complete. So call the number on your screen now to see if you're eligible or to enroll. There's more for you with the United Healthcare Dual Complete Plan.
In Taylor Mill, Kentucky, a young woman is shot and killed during an early morning home invasion. Now, the suspected killer has been identified by police. Tonight, the latest in the investigation and the manhunt.
We believe that shots were exchanged between the homeowner and the person that was involved in the shooting, who then left the scene.
In tonight's unsolved case file in Kansas City, Missouri, the murder of 23-year-old Alonzo Brooks in 2004. Why haven't any of the people at the party he was last seen at come forward with information?
We pray every day, for justice to get that call to say, we've got suspects.
In Louisville, Kentucky, Officer Brett Hankinson on trial for the botched raid at Breonna Taylor's apartment. Today, the jury returns to the scene of the shooting. We get reaction from our law enforcement experts.
I don't know what's happening. Somebody kicked in the door inside my girlfriend.
And in Bakersfield, California, a dangerous situation as officers approach a man holding a knife up to a woman's throat. We'll break down the video during Crime Time. Buckle your seatbelts. This hour of closing arguments starts right now. All right, folks, we have some breaking news from Pasco County, Florida. You know we're on a verdict watch. You can see the jury's been out just over 3 hours. So let's get right to Court TV legal correspondent Julia Janae, who is outside the courthouse. Julia, what can you tell us?
Vinny, there's movement inside of the courtroom. I told you earlier that those doors were locked. They are unlocked now, and there are exhibits being brought into that courtroom. So whether or not that means that we have a note or a verdict, we're still waiting to get that confirmation. But there is movement right now inside of the courtroom.
So break this down for me again. So the doors are locked. No one's allowed in while the jury's deliberating. They open them, and then if in fact the jury has either sent a note or the judge is going to take the bench or something is going to be put on the record?
That's what we are. We have our teams inside that are watching, and they say that the exhibits were just wheeled past them. They've gone into this courtroom. Actually, I am just getting a note that I do need to go into the courtroom. The defense attorneys and the defendant have gone into that courtroom. So something definitely is happening inside.
Okay, Julie Janae, Pasco County, the jury out over 3 hours, but movement. We can take that shot back inside the courtroom as Julia heads in there. You can see Curtis Reeves, the rest of his life hanging in the balance here. It's murder charges. He's 79 years old. He's convicted, that's it. Yeah, I mean, he's not getting out. He's not getting out. And his two attorneys who have fought so hard for so many years. But there's the other side of the coin here, folks. Don't forget about Nicole Olson, who was there when her husband was shot and killed by Curtis Reeves. She's waited 8 years for this trial to happen. 8 years of waking up without her husband there. 8 years of raising their daughter without her husband there. And all along, knowing that Curtis Reeves was free because he was out on bond. He probably had some monitoring device, but he wasn't being held in jail. He was spending time with his loved ones and his family and everything else. He's presumed innocent. I get it, folks. But 8 years for this murder trial to actually be brought. So we'll keep an eye on this. I'm not sure exactly what is going to happen because the clock is still ticking. And when that clock stops ticking, that usually means that we've gotten notification that a verdict has been reached. But that's not what we're hearing yet, but it is possible. We just don't know what the nature is of what's happening inside of that courtroom. I have a couple of guests with me. I'm just going to bring them in, and while we're waiting here, we have some stories we want to get to with them, but I want to talk about this moment with them as well. Mike Peasley, private investigator, Clearwater, Florida, is with us tonight. Also joining us, FBI Special Agent retired Kenneth Gray, senior lecturer at the University of New Haven in New Haven, Connecticut. Great to have you both with us. We can keep a shot of the courtroom up. Mike, let me ask you, I know you're working as a private investigator. Give me a little more about your background and have you been in these moments waiting for juries to come back?
Absolutely. I retired from Pinellas County Sheriff's Office over 20 years before I started my investigation company. And yeah, this trial, I've been watching this pretty intense.
Right now we're seeing the family come in, Curtis Reeves' family. You can see his wife, Vivian, is there. Kenneth Gray, I know you've been in many, many courtrooms as well, working with the FBI. These moments are so tense for everyone involved. The defendant, obviously, life is hanging in the balance. The family doesn't know if he's ever going to be a free man again after this moment. And now we look at the other side of the courtroom. And there's Nicole Olson with the blonde hair and this has been 8 years in the making, waiting for justice. And at this point, we still don't know if this is a verdict or not, but it very well could be. I'm looking at her reaction, and she may know more than we know at this moment. I can't imagine what that is like for her. She was there when her husband was shot and killed. Kenneth Gray, for victims of crimes, this is such a difficult moment, because this is all you have left. Your loved one is not with you. The only thing you're hoping for is a chance for the person you believe responsible to be held criminally responsible.
Vinny, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, you only get one shot at it. So this is their one chance to, if not making matters right, at least it's one shot to hold somebody responsible for this.
Mike, I know working in law enforcement, you're trying to find answers, you're trying to solve cases. This one didn't have to be solved, but you had to figure out what exactly happened in that movie theater. And there were forensics and there was video. But to me, this case was about Nicole Olson and the torture that she's been through, being there that day.
I'm really shocked. I thought the state did a heck of a job today on their closing arguments on that. And by saying, when the defense was saying I'm going to let you go here so we can see what happens here.
Absolutely. The judge is taking the bench, waiting for the microphones to be put.
I didn't think the defense did a good job with this today at all.
Here we go. The audio's in. Let's listen.
Quiet participation during the last few weeks. So let's manage to do that one more time. No outbursts of any sort. And we'll bring them in. Did you get the evidence? Okay, good.
Jurors into the courtroom, Your Honor.
All righty.
Jurors may be seated. All jurors are present and accounted for, Your Honor.
All right. Looks like juror number 2. Do you have the verdict forms? Give them to the bailiff, please. Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please publish the verdict?
In the courts of the 6th Judicial Circuit in and for Pasco County, Florida, State of Florida versus Curtis Judson Reeves, case number 2014 CF 216 CF AXES. Information for count 1, murder in the 2nd degree. Verdict. We, the jury, finds as follows. The defendant is not guilty. So say we all, this 25th day of February 2022, juror number 2, foreperson. In the courts of the 6th Judicial Circuit in and for Pasco County, Florida, State of Florida versus Curtis Judson Reeves, case number 2014 CF 216 CF AXES. Information for count 2, aggravated battery. Verdict. We, the jury, finds as follows. The defendant is not guilty. So say we all, this 25th day of February 2022, juror number 2, foreperson.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Does counsel for either side wish to poll the jury?
We do, Your Honor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, the deputy clerk will poll the jury. That simply means that she will ask each of you individually if the verdict she read is your verdict. If it is, you need only answer yes. If it is not, of course, you should answer no. Madam Clerk, will you please poll the jury?
Juror number 1, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 2, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 3, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 4, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 5, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 6, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to thank you for your time and consideration of this case. I also wish to advise you of some very special privileges enjoyed by jurors. No juror can ever be required to talk about the discussions that occurred in the jury room except by court order. For many centuries, our society has relied upon juries for consideration of difficult cases. We have recognized for hundreds of years that a jury's deliberations, discussions, and votes should remain their private affair as long as they wish it. Therefore, the law gives you a unique privilege not to speak about the jury's work. Although you are now, or will be in a moment, once I say the magic words, you are at liberty to speak with anyone about your deliberations. You are also at liberty to refuse to speak to anyone. A request to discuss either your verdict or your deliberations may come from those who are simply curious, from those who might seek to find fault with you, from the media, the attorneys, or elsewhere. It will be up to you to decide whether to preserve your privacy as a juror. So, on behalf of the state of Florida and everyone here, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your long, enduring service during this difficult case. You guys have been real troopers. It's been a long few weeks, and I want to thank you for performing the job that you have just done, and I hope you didn't find it too burdensome and you'll be willing to do the job again when the call comes. You're definitely good for at least a year, though, so at this time, I will now discharge you from your service as jurors, and you are free to go. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Grab your phones. Grab your phones. Did he get his phone?
Yeah,
Did he? Okay. Okay.
All right. Jury is out. Is it anybody?
All right, Mr. Reeves, the jury having returned a verdict of not guilty as to count 1 and count 2, you are free to go. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you for a wonderful time. Good luck.
Absolutely shocking tonight. Curtis Reeves found not guilty. There's his son, his family. He's a free man. A difficult 8 years, and now it gets even worse for Nicole Olson.
Let's go. You ready?
But for Curtis Reeves, he lives the rest of his life now. This is behind him. The prospect of dying behind bars, not going to happen. Not going to happen. This jury of 6, remember it was 6, all agreeing that he was not guilty of doing anything wrong. Self-defense means this was a justifiable homicide. That means this jury just said Chad Olson deserved to die. That's what this means. And again, the case has to be proven beyond any and all reasonable doubt. The burden is on the prosecution. They did not meet that burden. 8 years of fighting by this defense team, and they come out on top. And they come out on top, and you can see the incredible burden lifted from Curtis Reeves' life. Looks like he's moving a little quicker than he was before. But for Nicole Olson on the other side, you were there. You know exactly what happened. And now 8 years waiting for this trial to happen. I can't imagine the level of heartache and disappointment for her, knowing what she believes, having spoken to her on this program. This is a rare moment, folks, by the way. Not guilty. We've seen a few of them here on Court TV, but they are few and far between. Few and far between. So for a defense team to get together and smile the way they're smiling and congratulating and everything else that comes along with it, making phone calls, this does not happen. This is a very unusual moment, but it has happened. Not guilty. And you know, you go just before the new year, we had another not guilty, and it was a self-defense case. These are tough cases for prosecutors. And ultimately, I guess the jury believed it was not about popcorn. It was something else was going on there. And that's the way our system works. You've got to prove it beyond any and all reasonable doubt. Was not done here in the eyes of these 6 jurors. Mike Peasley, private investigator, former law enforcement, right there in that part of Florida, in Pinellas County, close by. Kenneth Gray, retired FBI special agent. Interested in your reaction to what has happened, because like you two, this defendant, former member of law enforcement, carries his gun with him, had his gun with him at the theater that day. Mike, I'll start with you. Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts were, I thought the state did a heck of a job today on closing arguments, showing that, one, that he's been in more critical situations instead of having popcorn thrown on him, and he felt he was in fear of his life. They had no videos at all of any other thing in the subject's hand other than the popcorn being thrown on him. I'm sort of shocked that they didn't move, but other than that, I'm finding it a little bit hard that it was self-defense. I'm sort of taken back with it right now. And I did my job for over 20 years with the sheriff's office and a detective for a number of years. And it's just not, to me, it's on a stand your ground. So I don't know.
It's very shocking. Kenneth Gray, your thoughts tonight? Self-defense, justifiable homicide. He was in fear. He's sitting in a movie theater. The grainy video is there, and the jury found a reasonable doubt.
So it's very hard to say why a jury finds something the way they do. The state had to put their best case forward, and apparently in this particular case, even though they may have made very good closing arguments, that overall, when you take the totality of all their arguments, they must not have convinced this jury that they made their case.
Yeah, 3 hours of deliberations. Again, it's a jury of 6. Most states in a case like this, there would be 12, but in Florida, they permit 6. They came back on this Friday night. For those of you who missed this dramatic moment, let's take you back inside the courtroom to see the not guilty verdict for Curtis Reeves.
Madam Clerk, would you please publish the verdict?
In the courts of the 6th Judicial Circuit in and for Pasco County, Florida, State of Florida versus Curtis Judson Reeves, case number 2014 CF 216 CF AXES. Information for count 1, murder in the 2nd degree. Verdict: we the jury finds as follows. The defendant is not guilty. So say we all this 25th day of February 2022, juror number 2, 4-person. In the courts of the 6th Judicial Circuit in and for Pasco County, Florida, State of Florida versus Curtis Jetson Reeves, case number 2014 CF 216 CF AXES, information 4, count 2, aggravated battery. Verdict: we, the jury, finds as follows. The defendant is not guilty. So say we all, this 25th day of February 2022, juror number 2, foreperson.
Another shocking moment inside the courtroom. Curtis Reeves found not guilty of all charges. He walked out of that courtroom a little quicker than he's been walking in during the trial, but walked out of that courtroom a free man on this Friday night. Let's go back down to Pasco County, Florida. Court TV legal correspondent Julie Janae inside the courtroom for this dramatic moment. Julia, what did you see? What was it like?
Vinny, there is shock all around inside of that courtroom. This is one of those cases where you could tell from just the feeling of these parties and the people who were there that they knew this could go either way and that it was not an overwhelming case on either side. So even before the verdict was read, already Nicole Olson was in tears. She was sobbing. People were around her, holding her shoulders and hugging her. And then when that verdict was read, Vinny, actually, as I was coming out here to talk to you, her team rushed her out, said respect her privacy. She was in tears and just ran her to her car. She didn't make any kind of comments after this verdict inside. It almost seemed that people were unsure that they heard the words not guilty, and watching them, even the side of Curtis Reeves, they seemed very still when this verdict was read and really held any kind of showings of joy until after the jury was dismissed, thanked for their service. And then you saw the hugs, you saw the pats on the back, and it got loud, and you could see Olson's family wanting to leave immediately after that. Tough day for them. For the Reeves family, this was a long, hard fight to now no longer have to be under house arrest for Curtis Reeves. He's been bound to his home for the last 7.5 years since he was initially put in jail, and then he was out on bond with an ankle monitor. Now truly a free man after all of this.
This is an astonishing night. Anytime a jury comes back and says not guilty, it's surprising. Sometimes it's more surprising than others. But for this case and this story, it was always about shooting someone in a movie theater who was unarmed, someone who threw popcorn in your face and then firing the weapon. But we know how hard this defense team fought every moment along the way of 8 years to get here. 8 years to get here. And the defendant testified, and the defendant, you know, the reaction we were getting from the testimony was that, you know, there was a level of composure there. He didn't play the role or come off as being aggressive or an angry, volatile person when he was on that witness stand.
No, he didn't. He came across as someone who was very self-assured, but even on cross-examination, he came off as somewhat meek, but someone who does have this history of being in charge, of being responsible for people. I think that may have gone very far with this jury. As a reminder of who was on this jury and the makeup of it, there were 4 men, 2 women. There were about 3 of them who were in their 60s or 70s. One of them was a retired someone who was former Air Force, another person who was, let's see, there was someone who actually had a shooting in their background, competitive shooting in their background, and 5 of the 6 had concealed carry licenses. That may have connected them more to this defendant, and he stayed generally the same on both direct examination and cross-examination in telling his side of the story. He didn't bend when he was shown evidence of him being the aggressor. He just said he doesn't think that's what the evidence shows. He was able to tell his story, and telling his story to this jury it ended with him getting not guilty on both counts, not just for the killing of Chad Olson, but also the aggravated battery, the injury of Nicole Olson.
Yeah, I can't imagine. You know, we're looking at the pictures of Curtis Reeves, and he looks like a different man already. It's startling to see. His attorney's obviously very excited, very happy, animated, etc. But seeing Curtis Reeves, he looks different. Is it just me, Julia Janae? Did he see? It almost looks like he's even moving quicker as he's walking across the courtroom.
We know what it reminds me of. When he was on the stand, he talked a lot about his history, his law enforcement history, and you could tell how much pride he has in what he did, how fulfilling that career was for him. And there was a sense of lightness when he talked about that part of his life. And he even talked about going from the Tampa Police Department to then working as head of security at Busch Gardens SeaWorld. And he said it was like a weight lifted off of him because as he had been an officer in the trenches working and creating the SWAT team there, now he had a different mandate, and that it was like a weight was lifted off of his shoulders, that he no longer had to worry about arrest powers because that wasn't the goal there, being head of security at a theme park. That's what I see from him sitting there at that defense table hearing the words not guilty. It's just like the weight of the 8 years is now lifted off of him and he can move forward with his family there behind him.
Let me ask you, Julie Janae, Nicole Olson had, loved ones around her in the courtroom, but also her attorney was with her. What role is that attorney playing? Is he just kind of helping her through the process? Is there a civil lawsuit that is currently pending or already happened? Do we know anything about that?
Oh, and you can probably hear the hugs and the jubilation beside me. A couple of the attorneys for Curtis Reeves are just coming out to the left of me, so that's what you are hearing in the background. In regards to Nicole Olson's attorney, TJ Grimaldi, he wasn't able to make it here for the verdict. He did let us know he doesn't want anyone speaking with his client, obviously just distraught after this kind of a verdict, and she was rushed out. There were comments about civil suits, even through the testimony of the movie theater manager. He said that there were suits that had been resolved. There hasn't been any discussion on the record about how they were resolved, but they were resolved. So there were some civil things in the background. And, 8 years, civil suits have been done. That usually happens rather quickly, but that was his role. And he also said the role was because this was such a high-profile case, and he needed to help her navigate a lot of the attention that she was getting because so many people wanted to understand this story that now has a very dramatic ending.
Julie Janae in Pasco County, Florida. I know there's a lot of people milling around you. I'll let you go and see who you can talk to. In the meantime, Bernarda Villalona and Ian Friedman back with us. Let me start with you, Ian. This is a moment. This is not a common moment for defense attorneys. I mean, the truth is, some win more than others, but my years at Court TV, it's, overwhelmingly we see convictions. This is a not guilty. Your reaction?
Statistically, you're correct. There are more convictions than there are acquittals. But this case, we've been saying from the start, we've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks. This is exactly why it's hard to guess what a jury's going to do. And it's just that it's a guess. I'm not shocked by this. I lost that shock many years ago, working in the system every day. This is, you have to respect what the jury's going to do in this case. And I give props. Bernarda guessed it right tonight when she said a quick verdict was going to be an acquittal. She was right.
Bernarda, we have a few seconds here. Your thoughts tonight about this verdict?
I'm not surprised by the verdict. Like I said before, the thing is that when there's so much inconsistencies, it works in the favor of the defense because that creates reasonable doubt. And if you can't get over reasonable doubt, then by law, you must acquit Curtis Reeves. So maybe they thought he did it, but just thinking he did it doesn't mean leads you to guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So they gave the right verdict, which is not guilty in this case for Curtis Reeves.
All right, folks, so we're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, Julie Janae is gathering the defense team, the victorious defense team, who walked Curtis Reeves out of that courtroom a free man. We'll be right back.
What are leak-proof underwear?
These are leak-proof underwear. Machine washable undies that look and feel just like normal, and that absorb up to 12 teaspoons of liquid. Get the protection you'll love. Try leak-proof underwear for 30 days, risk-free at Knix.com.
Look how these age spots seem to vanish right before your eyes. Oh my God. Blemishes seem to disappear in seconds for a flawless complexion. You can't get this look with regular old-fashioned makeup. To get these flawless results that look years younger instantly, we have big news. Luminess has taken airbrush and now made it easy for every day. Call or scan now to go to getbreeze.com to get our all-new Breeze cordless airbrush that applies both makeup and skincare fast and easy with flawless results that look years younger in just seconds.
Putting the drops in. Just hit the button, real simple. Isn't it? So easy. It knows exactly where it needs to blend and where it needs to go.
The makeup you're using can look dry and cakey and can make your skin look rough. But with Breeze, you can go from this to this. The secret is how our premium foundations blend onto the skin with an ultra-fine mist using the power of air. Very little foundation is needed. Up to 10 times less makeup compared to what you're using. But you're also getting 3 times more coverage at the same time. That's maximum coverage using less makeup. Traditional makeup can make you look older, while Breeze is specially designed for maturing skin.
I feel like I'm telling a best-kept secret. It is literally the same size as a smartphone.
It is. Look at that. Call or scan now to go to getbreeze.com. You get our all-in-one airbrush foundation. It's your anti-aging, moisturizing primer, concealer, and foundation in one simple step. And with so many shades, we give you a color match guarantee. So you're guaranteed the perfect shade that's just right for you. When you call or scan now to go to getbreeze.com, use this special promo code and get our new Breeze cordless 2-in-1 airbrush to try at home for only $19.95. And you'll even get free shipping. We're so confident you're going to love our all-new Breeze 2-in-1 airbrush system. We give you a full 30-day money-back guarantee. Now you can look dramatically younger with Breeze. And this exclusive offer is only available here, so don't wait.
To order your cordless handheld Breeze, call 800-425-6437 or scan now to go to getbreeze.com. Order now.
If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to tell you what your case is potentially worth. Hello, I'm Gina, along with spokesperson Rob. Rob, tell the folks at home who should be calling right now.
Well, just like you said, Gina, anyone who's been injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, give us a call right now, and we're going to let you know what your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Rob. So what kind of calls have we been seeing today?
Well, Gina, we're getting calls from all types of accidents today. Work accidents, slip and falls, truck accidents, and most commonly, car accidents. So if you were injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, take that first step, pick up that phone and give us a call. We're going to answer your questions, and we'll let you know how much money you can get for your accident.
Thanks, Rob. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Go ahead, don't hesitate, take that first step and call now.
Here's a direct question. How long are you planning on keeping your new smile? Yeah, that's why Smile Direct Club has their lifetime smile guarantee. Get a doctor-directed smile you love, guaranteed for life. Your life. Choose Smile. Choose Direct.
Smile Direct Club. Got crypto brain? You could satisfy it by getting crypto the same way everyone else does. Or with a tax advantage at Alto Crypto IRA. With as little as $10, you can now put retirement dollars in crypto. Over 125 coins through Coinbase Exchange, including Bitcoin, all with the full tax advantages of an IRA. Everyone's got their eye on crypto. Get yours with the Alto Advantage. Sign up free at altoira.com/crypto.
There he is. At the moment, he has just found out that he's not guilty. Not guilty. Curtis Reeves sent home tonight by the jury, a free man for the rest of his life. A big celebration inside the courtroom after that moment. Let's go outside the courthouse now. Court TV legal correspondent Julie Janae has been covering this story. I understand you tracked down the victorious defense team tonight.
Vinny, I'm here indeed with the victorious defense team who's been on this case representing Curtis Reeves for 8 years. This has been a long fight for them to get to this point. They've had multiple depositions and hearings, and now to have this trial and this jury come back with a verdict in their favor. I want to bring both of them in. Thank you guys for speaking with me. This is Rick Escobar and Dino Michaels. I first want to ask you, Rick, tell me what Curtis Reeves' first words were to you after hearing this verdict.
you know, after being 8 years, you know, basically in confinement in his home, it was so wonderful. His daughter's getting married tomorrow. He's going to walk his daughter down the aisle. It was just such a wonderful moment for him. And, you know, we've been in litigation for 8 years. We've been up to the appellate court twice, and it's been grueling. But we always felt that we had our best chance with this jury. And so I can't tell you how happy we are as a team. Dino and I worked this case from the very beginning. And I can tell you that Mr. Reeves is going to sleep very well tonight.
Dino, what were you thinking when you came back with a verdict after 3 hours from this jury?
Well, with time, you never know. You know, the jury can come back on a very complicated racketeering case that's taken 2-3 weeks to try, come back in 50 minutes. I've had that with a not guilty. They can take 2 days to deliberate on a case that takes 3 hours to try. I had that recently in a trafficking case in Hillsborough. And so you never know. You know, you like to, after all these years, you know that you don't know. You can only say, well, this is how long it's taken, and you're there and you're waiting for the verdict like your client is.
Can you take us behind the scenes on the decision to let your client testify? Was that something he just wanted to do, or something that you felt was going to be really good for this jury?
There was never a question that Curtis Reeves was going to testify. You know, Curtis has been in law enforcement all his years. He believes in the system, even though he was very disappointed when we lost the Stand Your Ground. He was very disappointed initially when the judge didn't give him a bond at the very beginning of this case, but we won that on appeal. But he's never wavered. He's always believed in the system. You know, as a law enforcement officer for 27 years, he believed in the system. And so, you know, I can tell you that, you know, Curtis has always told us that he wanted to tell his story. We are so grateful to this jury. This jury was attentive for 3 weeks of a trial. I could tell in closing arguments that they were really embracing our theory of defense, and they knew that Curtis Reeves had not committed a crime and that he was merely defending himself.
I got to ask you the follow-up on that, Rick, because you had a rather long closing argument, and even the judge said, are things going to move along? Were you concerned that you might lose them after a while? What were you seeing there right in front of them?
No, I know the judge was frustrated. That was not my concern. My concern was to be able to give this jury everything that they needed to make that decision. It was a 3-week-long trial, a 3-hour closing for a 3-week-long trial. I knew that this jury could withstand that, and I know that they wanted to hear everything so that they would have those tools to make the right decision.
Daniel, can you tell me about the extended family? Jennifer Shaw, Matthew Reeves, Vivian Reeves, sitting there inside of the courtroom. What was their reaction right after this verdict?
Well, as you can imagine what their reaction was. You know, Jennifer started crying because now her father's going to be able to walk her down the aisle. She has a wedding planned for tomorrow. So there she was in court, not knowing if her father was going to go to prison or her father was going to walk her down the aisle. So anybody can just imagine what that would be like. You know, Mrs. Reeves, Vivian Reeves, you can imagine. It's not difficult to imagine. That's her husband. She's there in the courtroom. She doesn't know if her husband's coming home with her to enjoy their retirement years together or if he's going to prison. His son, Matthew Reeves, the police officer from Tampa Police Department, he's there. He got very emotional when he heard not guilty because that's his father. And they're a loving family. They're a wonderful family. They've been very supportive. And frankly, you know, Curtis and his family, they didn't want this trial delayed 8 years. Curtis Reeves wanted his day in court from the very beginning, right away. In fact, frankly, he was very impatient about it, and I don't blame him. And so, like Rick said, he trusted in the system. Here's somebody that was in the system. And you know, as well as I do, from seeing these trials, you know things can go ways that you don't expect them to. But here's a guy that's so true blue, Curtis Reeves, that he believed in the system and he wanted his day in court. And he wasn't going to be happy till he had it. So we're ecstatic. This is why we do this work, to be able to help people, but also to be able to get justice for people.
There were 6 jurors in this panel. Not typical for murder trials. What went into that? Is that something that you all had to agree to? What's the Florida law?
That's a normal number of jurors for a second-degree murder. And so, yeah, we were very happy with the selection. It was a long process for selecting this jury. We spent a lot of time in trying to pick the right jury, type of jury that was going to be fair and impartial. This is an emotional case. And we had to be very, very careful because of the emotions of the case. You know, we have certainly, and our hearts go out to the Olson family. They've lost a husband, they've lost a father. We always had that at the forefront of our mind. However, Curtis Reeves was innocent of this. He wasn't guilty. And I think this sends a message, and I think it sends a message to the community that, you know, we can't abuse the elderly. There's a statute in Florida that protects the elderly. And I think that on January the 13th of 2014, that's what happened. Curtis was attacked. He was abused by a much younger man. It should have never happened. And so we're very, very happy that hopefully Mr. Reeves can enjoy the remainder of his life, enjoying his wife, enjoying his travels, because he has given a lot to this community. 27 years as a law enforcement officer, 12 years as the head of security for Bush Entertainment, started the first tactical squad ever for the Tampa Police Department. He is one of the most decorated law enforcement officers for the city of Tampa ever.
We saw that support inside of the courtroom. Not sure if they were people from
all of them were
the
detectives.
service.
Absolutely.
That's interesting to know. I want to ask you this just because it's late tonight. What's the process like now? I know he was wearing an ankle monitor. He had all of these restrictions, and he also couldn't carry his gun. It was having to be housed, and he had to pay for it to be housed. Does he get that back? Does he plan to continue carrying it?
Well, the law says that right now he's a free man. That means he doesn't have any restrictions. That means he doesn't need an ankle bracelet. In terms of firearms and all that, that's something that I'm not going to talk about right now. That's his personal choice. But the law says that he's free. The jury said that he's not guilty. We all agreed from the very beginning, both sides did. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy, but it's not a crime because what he did was justifiable under the law.
Excellent job by both of you for your client. Anything I did not ask you that you want to make sure is said about Curtis Reeves?
No, I just think that in cases like this that are difficult, we had a very, very difficult time very early on in this case because the media, pounded on the fact, oh, he shot him over popcorn or he shot him over texting. And it wasn't that at all. Forensically, that was an easy answer. We were able to prove forensically that he had not shot him over popcorn. Much to our surprise, the media, even up until today, we're talking about that. Well, he shot him over popcorn, and that was an impossibility. It was 0.072 seconds between the popcorn and the shot. That's humanly impossible to shoot someone under those circumstances. And so, we had it was a tough case. I can tell you that all of our colleagues, right, Mr. Michaels, all of our colleagues said, Rick, you'll never win this. We had judges telling us, you're wasting your time. You're never going to win that case. It's an impossible case. But our determination, and Dino and I worked in our staff. I don't want to forget, my support associates because they were phenomenal, and my staff at the office. I can't tell you the countless hours that everyone at my office, all my paralegals, all my support staff put into this case, and we were determined to win. And we're so grateful to this jury for making the right decision.
Thank you both for your time, Vinny. I'll send it back into you.
Julie, Janae, first of all, great interview, great questions, incredible insight into all of this. Can you believe that Curtis Reeves goes from Friday night in a courtroom waiting to hear if he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison to tomorrow, Julia, he's going to be walking his daughter down the aisle at a wedding? Boom, I can't believe that.
It's an unbelievable nugget. I didn't know it until I was interviewing them just before in the commercial break when we were getting them set up. It's just incredible that that's what they were even thinking about, that there was a wedding that was going to be scheduled the day after this trial was set. This was the day that the jury was supposed to be done with their service, so it was the anticipated last day, but it's absolutely incredible, and for this family, a wonderful ending for them.
Unbelievable. Julie, Janae, great work. Thanks so much. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, more reactions tonight. We're going to bring back in Ian Friedman, Bernarda Villalona. I want to hear what they have to say about this wedding tomorrow. We'll be right back.
On the news.
Several big pandemic headlines with the latest from Washington.
There is the why. At Newsy, we take time for context.
Can you break that down for us?
Offering the information you need now more than ever.
We'll focus on facts versus myths.
That could mean a big change for vaccination.
Could this policy put more healthcare workers at risk?
This is the news with the Y.
Newsy. Watch free national news 24/7. Rescan your TV antenna to find Newsy or stream live.
This is an important message for everyone on Medicare. Today, we are talking about Medicare Part C, commonly called Medicare Advantage. If you don't have a Medicare Part C plan, call now because there may be plans with additional benefits available that are simply not covered under Medicare Parts A and B. That's right, there are people on Medicare but don't have a Medicare Part C plan, which covers everything in Part A and Part B, plus extra benefits in Medicare Part C. Here's the good news. If you're on Medicare, you can call even if you called last year. We will check to see if there is a Part C plan available in your area with additional benefits. If you're losing coverage, moving, or new to Medicare, call to speak with a licensed insurance agent during the special enrollment period. You don't get Medicare Part C benefits automatically, so call now for your free 2022 no-obligation Medicare benefits review. Just call 800-951-8248. 800-951-8248.
Show the world what it means to be a fan at Fanatics.com. The largest assortment of officially licensed college fan gear. For more than 500